right, I think that we are ready to get started. So, welcome to Sketch to Story Drawing Workshops Week 4. Week 4. We are already in week 4. This time is passing so fast. It's crazy. Okay, so we're going to go with our mission. The mission of Sankofa Animation Network exists to uplift Black and Brown communities through animated film, faith-centered storytelling, and creative education, building a global community where underrepresented voices are nurtured, empowered, and seen. Our African proverb of today is standing is still going. Standing is still going. And that one took me a minute to like, okay, what does that really mean? But what I think it means is that as long as you're standing and you're facing the right direction, you are still making progress because what is the alternative? You could be sitting, you could be laying down, you could have been knocked down and have never gotten up. But to stand and to stand firm in whatever the direction is that you're going, even if you're exhausted, even if you're sweating, even if you're feeling like you can't go on, still having taken that strength to stand up, you're still going in the right direction. So I like that. It's one that you have to think about just a little bit, but I think it's pretty cool and has a good meaning. All right, so today is week 4, and we are talking about sidekicks. We're still involved in our characters. We're going to be in our characters because characters are such an important part. I wanted to spend a good amount of time just talking about characters, thinking about characters. Last week, we looked at protagonist characters and how the audience affects the protagonist, especially when we're thinking about the age of the protagonist and just like the demographic of the protagonist. We really want to think about our audience and how they're going to be relating and resonating because they really, really need to resonate with that protagonist character. Now we're talking about sidekicks, a little bit different. It's not quite exactly the same. Sidekicks come in all shapes and sizes, but I wanted to talk about a little bit more specific. So, first, let us define what is a sidekick. A sidekick character. Sidekick characters are close companions who support the main hero. They provide comic relief, offer different viewpoints, and help the protagonist succeed. From Wikipedia, Backstage, and Pop Culture Wiki. So, the primary types of sidekicks, we're gonna see these. These are like the best examples I could think for the primary types of sidekicks, and they put them all together, and they're like this little group. And it's from Sleeping Beauty. We have Flora, Fauna, and Merriweather. So, in these, we can see the comedic optimist. The comedic optimist is the one who's always like has those rose-tinted glasses, thinks the protagonist can do anything in the world. The belief is that the protagonist is without believes in the protagonist without question, wholly wants them to achieve their goal, and offers support. So this is the one. This is like their cheerleader, the one who's always right there. And I think that is uh Flora. Flora, I think. Which one is Flora? Which one is Fauna? Which I'm pretty sure the one in blue is Merriweather. I think that Flora is the one in green. Actually, it's either one of the two. So basically, the one in green is the comedic optimist. She's always cheerful. She's always like supporting. She thinks that everything is going to always end up with love and flowers. She actually wants to turn the princess into a flower, and she just like, has the rose tinted glasses for sure. Our comedic pessimist is our one in blue. I mean, that one is Merriweather, obviously. Always kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. That is, the pessimist is the one who cares for the protagonist, usually, but does not support the mission, does not believe in this, often is fearful, tries to talk the hero out of the journey, though they may help begrudgingly. We see this in a Sebastian. I think poor Ariel has like three different comedic pessimists. I think Flounder kind of is also like, I don't want to do this, Ariel. Um, Scuttle is always like, oh, I don't know about this. Like all of them are kind of like trying to talk her out of it. I think that's maybe why I resonate with Ariel so much too. We have another type of sidekick, the voice of reason. So that is our fairy over here in the red. Um, she is the voice of reason. She is the one that's like, all right, we can do this, but we gotta take precaution, and I want you to think about this, and this is how we need to grow, and needs to be the plan of action, and is always thinking things through. The voice of reason believes in the protagonist, but knows that they need a lot of guidance, and often acts as a mentor or guide. Combination. So that's what we don't have here in the four. But actually, I think there might be one in Sleeping Beauty. I think that you might see that. So the combination character believes in the hero, willing to both blindly be supportive and also brutally honest. I actually think that is the king, the short king. I think that's actually like a saying, like short king. Yes, I believe that that is actually the short king in Sleeping Beauty, and I think it's basically the same king they also use in Cinderella. It's like, they believe in the hero and they're willing to be supportive and be there, but they're also like, "Ugh, hold on. Pause. Pause a second. We need to talk some reality." So that is our combination sidekick. All right, so we're going to be doing some 5-minute poses, looking at some pretty popular sidekicks that we see in animated film, and it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, we got a couple from a couple different studios, but I think that you're going to recognize all of them. And we're actually going to do a little bit of an exciting part also because we're not only going to sketch them today, we're also going to describe bits of their personality. So we're going to use adjectives. And this is the one of the wonderful things that I love about sketch to story is once you have a character and we start sketching, you don't just stop at sketching. You start to think. You start to think about traits. You start to add those adjectives to the character, and that's what's gonna help you to understand them, understand who they are, and when you understand who a character is at their core, you're gonna understand how they're gonna react when you put them in different scenarios, and that is writing, putting characters in different scenarios and letting them respond in a way that only they can. All right, so. Our first questions for week 4 are what type of sidekick do you naturally enjoy drawing? What type of sidekick do you naturally enjoy drawing? And the next one is how does removing a sidekick change a story for a protagonist? So, how does removing a sidekick change the story for the protagonist? All right. So, first, we have this character. I kind of gave this one away already. So, what kind of protagonist do you think that Merriweather is? I'll give you a second as I think about the types that I naturally enjoy drawing. I think I like, oh, this is not the type of pencil I wanted. What happened here? All right, I think the type of character I naturally lean to is I like I do like a optimistic blindly optimistic comedic relief. I think they're fun to draw. I think I like a lot of animal characters often, but not always. Animal characters are the optimistic ones. They might blindly support the protagonist, like, like a pet dog would blindly support their owner, even though, the owner might be making a total bad decision, but, still, even though that loyal companion dog might just blindly support them. All right, so Meriwether. Obviously, Meriwether is going to be the comedic pessimist. Comedic pessimist. She doesn't want any, she doesn't think anything is a good idea. She thinks that the evil queen is going to have her way, which, I mean, you can't completely blame her because, it was her that was interrupted in the beginning when she was trying to give the princess like this blessing basically and like give her this gift, but it was just kind of her moment was destroyed by the evil witch, and so you can't completely blame her for being a pessimist, but she definitely is pessimistic. And she reminds everybody why the mission can fail and how it's going to fail and why she wants to have her way or no way. Like, she wants to have her magic powers back and is not happy at all about the fact that no one is really agreeing with her. No one really wants to do what she wants to do. And I think it's like, all right, yeah, I get it. But, at the same time, you're being really pessimistic. You're not really being a team player in this moment. So, I mean, I can get it, but at the same time, even though you might be naturally pessimistic, there's often times where you just kind of have to go along to get along because I don't know, the world does not have a lot of space for pessimists, unfortunately. So people, you have to either change aspects of your personality or, just be willing to accept the fact that people are probably going to disagree with you. It's going to be one or the other. All right. So let's see. Um, how does removing the sidekick change? Well, let's think about how it would be right now if we moved Merriweather from Sleeping Beauty. Like, how does that story change? I think it changes a lot because, like I said at first, um, she is the one who was granting this wish over the princess, and then all of a sudden, everything was changed. So first, that would change. We wouldn't have nearly the comedic relief. We have some from one of the other characters. I need to find out which one is Flora and which one is Fauna because it's going to drive me nuts if I don't know. I'm gonna look up Flora, Sleeping Beauty. Let's see. Flora actually means plant life. I didn't know this when I first started watching Sleeping Beauty. I think it was actually the first Disney feature that I watched as a kid. I used to love that movie so much. Oh my God, I loved that movie. It was my favorite as a kid, as a little kid. Like before I even was old enough to go to the movie theaters. I was watching the VHS of this. All right, so let's see. Flora is Flora is the main character, is the main fairy. She's the voice of reason. So she's the one in the red. I kind of thought that because their names are Flora, Fauna, and Mayweather, so it made sense that she would be named first, and she's kind of like the ringleader of the three. So that makes sense. All right, so let's see. You can also see this in The Lion King with the hyenas. There's like the three hyenas. Anytime there's groups of three, you're probably gonna have the optimist, the pessimist, and the voice of reason. All right, and you do have those three dynamics with the hyenas too, with the Whoopi Goldberg character playing the voice of reason. All right, so we are moving on. Um, I only got to do one of Merriweather. It's funny that her name is Merriweather, but she's more like a cloud. She's a little bit more like cloudy weather when you think about it. All right, so I just want to finish drawing her. I know I can't, but she's so fun to draw. She's just like this little cute, pudgy fairy. Who doesn't want to sit and draw cute, pudgy fairies? Okay. All right, I'm gonna move on. And we're going to think about adjectives. All right. So we're going to think about adjectives that describe her. So, what are some adjectives that describe Meriwether? I would say grumpy, definitely. What else describes her? I would say obviously pessimistic. I almost like second guess myself, like, is that, do I need to write that? But yeah, just don't stop yourself when you're writing. Just let yourself brainstorm without. She's also caring, but a little bit sarcastic, stubborn, and what else? Mm, she feels like she acts like a New Yorker kind of. I'm from New York too, so don't be mad if you're a New Yorker. Like literally, if I was to think of like an old lady that lived in like a brownstone in uh Park Slope or something, I don't know. I just feel like she would be like a or like one of my school teachers in New York. Like she's kind of she just has that right, grumpy, pessimistic, caring, stubborn, New Yorker-ish, and I don't know, kind of snooty. When I say snooty, um, I mean snooty like snippy, I think is a better word. Snippy, like she snips back and stuff. So she's kind of snippy. All right. Moving on from Meriwether. Okay, we have another character here. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to go into my timer and let's see. Let's give this another 5 minutes to do our squiddy squiddy. Okay. So when we think about Squidward, if you weren't looking at his facial expression, his facial expression gives it away. I mean, who are we fooling? Obviously, Squidward is, come on, say it with me now, comedic pessimist. He's very pessimistic. Obviously, he's not into this. He's not into whatever SpongeBob is doing. He's like, he's not into it. But doesn't mean he doesn't care about SpongeBob. I think there's been several opportunities and times where he's shown that he does care about um about SpongeBob. He just doesn't care about SpongeBob's missions, which is, whatever he's trying to do at the moment. He's trying to save the Krusty Krab. He's just trying to make the customers happy. He's trying to get his jellyfishing license. He wants to play with Squidward or whatever they want to do. But um, Squidward at times, especially in feature films, because there's not a whole lot of time for, you know, for the other, for just being pessimistic only in a feature film. You got to get to the point. So oftentimes in a feature film, you see Squidward will help out, but like with the comedic pessimists, they do so begrudgingly. They might not really be wanting to help out necessarily. They might be like, I'll help you, but I have to, or finally they come to something that happened or something that was morally triggering and they're like, all right, fine, I'm gonna help you, but don't expect this from me all the time type of a thing. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like what we get when we get our comedic pessimist. But let's answer some questions about this. So when we look at um, what does it look like when you remove this type of protagonist? I think it takes out a lot. I think that oftentimes a pessimist can be a voice of reason. When you don't have just one necessarily voice of reason or one clear voice of reason, sometimes the pessimist will step in and just be like, "Hey, remember this and this," but they'll do so in such a way that it feels like yeah, fine, don't listen to me, or the way that the delivery is more from a I told you so, or whatever type of a what would you call it, from a stance like that. All right, let's think of what else we can say. I'm not doing the best job drawing him right now. I don't know, remember if I've ever drawn Squidward before. But it's okay because you know what? When you're drawing characters that you never drawn before, or even if they're really popular characters, sometimes it takes a couple times. For me, it does. So I think that you should don't feel so much pressure if you're drawing like a cartoon character, animation character to get it um right off the bat. Usually there's some type of a formula, and if you don't know it, you'll need to probably do it a few times before you either catch it or just get used to the shapes. It's all about the shapes. I mean, the shapes are such a big part of drawing these types of characters, especially, when we're doing simplified characters. It's going to be like this. All right, so let's think some more about what it might be like. I think um you wouldn't have as much of an older audience. I think Squidward kind of brings in um the older teens to adult audience. It makes, because it gives you that yeah, like, all right, life is not peaches and cream. Like, life is not perfect. So it's a bit of a having that pessimistic character is also a relief for your audience because it gives them that, all right, well, I don't have to be happy all the time. Maybe I feel like being a Squidward right now. That's one of the one of the characters that I call my husband actually sometimes. And you might have somebody in your life that you're like, you know what, you're being a Squidward right now. And it does give you that bit of relatability. I think especially for when you have adults that are tuning in, it's a show that's for kids, and obviously they get their money from kids. Like I said last week when we were talking about age and audience, you can have your primary audience, but it doesn't mean that people from other age groups won't enjoy it. And if you can get other age groups to enjoy, even though it's for a specific audience, and the specific audience is the one bringing in most of the money, you can still like I'm sure it generates several extra $1 million for these creators just to be able to have adults enjoy it, because they're watching it they can watch it with their kids without, feeling. I remember like me and my son binged like SpongeBob, like the whole show. We just like binge watched it, not all at the same time, obviously, but just we would watch like 2 or 3 episodes a day for a couple months, and we watched the whole thing. And when you have like fun characters that adults can relate to, then you can do that. Sorry, my voice is a little bit gone today. I think I don't want to say I don't want I don't want to jinx myself, but my throat is recovering. All right. So I'm gonna give him trying to redo his eyes just a little bit here. Let me give him some action. All right. I might do both. I might at least try to do both of these characters. I don't know if I have time. Might just have to pick one. All right, so let me give him like 2 seconds. Let me see if we have any time left on the timer. No, we don't. But let me see if I can just quickly do a little bit of his face. And he's got that eyebrow, that like disapproving eyebrow. I think it's great. I love the Squidward character. I think he adds so much. Remember that day, that episode when he thought that SpongeBob was going to blow up and he was trying to enjoy SpongeBob's last minutes with him, and there was an explosion, but it wasn't SpongeBob, obviously. Those are like good episodes that adults can feel like they can relate to. Okay, let's describe Squidward in a couple of episodes, in a couple of adjectives. Squidward, obviously, he's sourpuss, right? He's a sourpuss type of character. He's also very artistic, like crafty, like creative. He has a creative mind. And I think that is like the source of his grumpiness is the fact that he works in like this fast food chain, even though he fancies himself a creative genius. So creatively frustrated. Let's see, he likes jazz, he likes the saxophone, he likes all these things, but meanwhile he's working as a cashier. That would be frustrating for anybody. How else would you describe Squiddy? I would describe him as, let's see, um, also sarcastic, at times rude, avoidant slash antisocial. That was one thing that we didn't really see with our Merriweather character, but Squidward is a little bit more antisocial. Um, what else would I use to describe him? He's a little bit, mm, let's see, sourpuss, artistic, creative. Frustrated, sarcastic, rude, avoidant, antisocial, but usually at their core, they do have a good heart. That's one thing that you'll see with these sidekick characters. Even though they're grumpy, even though they're sourpuss, and even though they're antisocial, they still, at their core, have a good heart. So I think that's what makes them also like, makes you still like them, even though that they have all their grumpiness and everything, because it reminds you of somebody, even ourselves sometimes. But still, they have at their core a good heart, and it makes us like them. Okay, we're going to move on to our next character, who is a sidekick. What kind of character do you think this one is? If you haven't already guessed it, I will give you no hints. Come on, his face is a hint enough. His face is the biggest hint you'll ever need. Obviously, we're talking about our Patrick Star. Patrick Star is basically the epitome of the comedic optimist. Comedic optimist. And these are just types of sidekicks. I go into character archetypes in the class Sketch to Story, and what you'll get is like a list of different types of archetypes, and you'll have like characters that could be like you could have two different characters that are both comedic sidekicks, but they're a different type of an archetype, and that does happen. That does happen. So, the type of archetype, which is like a type of character, that's not the role that they're playing, but just the type of character that they are, that their personality is. Um, I would put Patrick into the wide-eyed naivete. And that is one of the archetypes I have is a wide-eyed naivete. And basically they're so optimistic that they're pretty much naive about life. They're overly optimistic. They don't think things through very much. They kind of just have the rose-tinted glasses, very much like Merriweather. But yes, I would definitely put Patrick into that category, and I would also put SpongeBob into that category. So you can have two different character types, but character roles, but they might be the same archetype, like SpongeBob and Patrick. They're both a wide-eyed naivete, but they also have their differences. Like Patrick is much more of like the goof. He's much more of a goof. Uh, but he's definitely, you know, he does his best. He does his best. He's a goofy guy. He's not the smartest, he's not the brightest. Um, but he's fun. He's fun. And his optimism is always there. Like we've seen other sides to Patrick. I think it could be just because of his lack of wits that he gets himself and SpongeBob into trouble. Like he sometimes unwittingly doesn't support SpongeBob because like I think there was one episode where there was like alien takeover, and he just thought that SpongeBob was an alien. He kept trying to like he kept on ruining everything, but he ruins everything with a naivety that he doesn't know, that doesn't even realize that he's ruining. And I'm kind of combining both of these because I'm using the full body to fill in the rest for the parts that don't show that in the other image. Okay. And he might be wearing his little Hawaiian shirt or just the swimming trunks. But we'll have one image here with the swimming trunks and one with the Hawaiian shirt. So I want to do him with both. All right. How would SpongeBob be the series without Patrick? It would not be SpongeBob without Patrick. Like you can imagine, it just wouldn't be the same show. It would be like Pa Patrick plays the primary sidekick in the show. It wouldn't be a show without Patrick. It would be a different show. Let's say that. It would be a very, very different show. Without Patrick, they're neighbors. Patrick provides a lot of the comedy, if not most of the comedy. So definitely we need Patrick. We need him and his goofy self to just give us the comedy. Give us the comedy, give us the relief, give us this is not one that you relate to, or usually I don't even think you would even call anybody a Patrick because that would feel like an insult because he's just so without any sense at all. I'm sorry, but it's true. We know it's true. He just doesn't have any sense to him at all. So yeah, usually a Patrick type character is not necessarily someone that you would relate to in person, but he's recognizable because we see this type of character a lot in films and movies and the like. Okay, so let's go on with our Patrick Star. And what are the things that we describe him as? I think I called him Goofy a few times. And where does the word Goofy come from? You know Goofy. Goofy is a, a very popular sidekick. Very popular sidekick that we see actually quite a bit. Quite a bit. All right, how else would we describe him? Optimistic. Obviously, he's funny. He is not very smart. He is childlike or very naive. How else would we describe him? Kind of sloppy. A bit ignorant, but also loving and a good friend most of the time. All right, so for our friend Patrick here, we have goofy, optimistic, funny, not very smart, childlike, and naive, a bit sloppy, a little bit ignorant, loving, and a good friend. And I don't know if you came up with the same adjectives, but you can come up with your own if you'd like to. Ah, I missed this. I keep on missing this. But all right, so we're moving on. And how does the sidekick, these are the second set of questions. How does the sidekick make a hero's journey easier or harder? How does the sidekick character make a hero's journey easier or harder? And what does a sidekick reveal about a protagonist's personality? Okay, what does a sidekick reveal about a character's personality? And you know what? I want to do a little bit longer. So let's see if we can actually do 7-minute poses. All right, let's just move it on to 7-minute poses. And here we are looking at a different character. We're actually looking at Mushu. Mushu is a fun character. He's one of my, I gotta say, he's got to be like one of my favorite all-time sidekicks. He's good at it. He's a good sidekick. And I think he is a good sidekick for one reason because he is, which kind is he? Did you guess? He's a combination. He's the combination. He is both blindly optimistic at times. Like you'll see that he'll sometimes just do whatever he can to support Mulan, but also he's the voice of wisdom and he will come in and give her wisdom. And there's times where he'll be the pessimist too and be like, oh, we should not be doing this. Like, doom on you, doom on your cow. Like, so we can see him being all three. We can see him being the combination of the three. Okay. He definitely has it in him to be all three. And let's see. I think I'm gonna edit his mouth a little bit. I have never drawn Mushu in my life. That's funny. I mean, he's one of my favorites, but I've never ever drawn him, so this will be a little bit of a challenge. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see what we can do. All right. So I don't want to make him look like he's angry. Just changing the mouth just a little bit will make him look like he's angry. Just up or down. It's so crazy how delicate it is to change a character's whole look very, very easily. All right. Let's see. Let's keep on drawing. All right. So how does a sidekick make a hero's journey easier? Well, definitely can make their journey easier when they're willing to help, when they're willing to go into the lake and bite the soldiers' butts. Like that's what Mushu did to get Mulan out of a very hairy situation, I could say. He's willing to go in there and do the dirty work or like the less pretty work, the less um the what would I call it? The less romantic side of the story they're willing to do, you know? And that helps a lot because like, what would Mulan have done? She can't do anything at that point. She's in the water, she's trying to take a bath and all these soldiers come in. What can she do? She can't do anything if it weren't for Mushu, who really saves the moment in that incident. And thankfully he did, or else she would have been outed a lot before that. No less with some lonely soldiers. That wouldn't have been that wouldn't have been good for her. Um, Next, how else would it be easier? How else would it be easier for her? Um, how else does having the sidekick make life easier for her? Definitely gives her someone to talk to whenever she's having doubts. When it definitely gives her someone to plan with, gives her different perspectives. Even when he's being the voice of reason, it can give her those perspectives and allow her to plan things. How else might a uh, sidekick make it harder? Let's see. Well, sometimes the sidekick is not very supportive. Sometimes the sidekick, um, whether they're being begrudging or whether they're being the voice of reason, it can still be harder when they're like inserting those pieces of doubt. We definitely see that in Little Mermaid when Sebastian is like, "What the heck are you doing, girl?" Like, I don't think he says that exactly, but something like that. He's like very like, "Oh God, what the hell is happening? What the heck are you doing?" And is providing that bit of second guessing for the protagonist. So that can definitely make the protagonist a journey a little bit harder when they have someone who's maybe they might be giving them wisdom, but it's also planting seeds of doubt, to be clear. All right. How else? Let me think. Let's see, how else might a protagonist make their life easier? Like, well, how else could a sidekick make the protagonist's life easier? They make the protagonist laugh. They can also give them company. I think I talked a little bit about them being someone for them to talk to, someone for them to share ideas with. They can also fill in the gaps whenever they're actually completing their mission. They might need somebody to distract, or they might need someone to help them carry out the plan. So many of us in the real life, we're trying to do everything on our own. We're trying to accomplish everything on our own. We're trying to uh, fix our own problems on our own, but sometimes we need a little bit of help. Sometimes we need to have our own side characters who are helping us in one way or another to get to our goals because truthfully, we cannot accomplish a whole lot on our own. And the more you get older, the more you start to realize, hey, I'm doing way too much by myself. I need to get some help here because I can't do this. It's hard. Life is hard. And especially if you're trying to achieve some type of a big mission, life is going to be even a little bit harder. So it's better if you can have some help. All right. So um, I could be going on to the second image of Mushu. He's really, really skinny, isn't he? Pretty skinny. Okay. So let's see. All right. I could do just a inkling of this second pose. He's just so cute. And the little cricket guy, who is he? What is he? Is he the optimist? Is he the comedic pessimist? I think he's also probably a little bit of both. It seems like he's kind of like, I'm kind of here for the ride, but what the heck are we doing at the same time? Like, are we doing this for real? Like, what the heck is happening? All right, so, and Mushu's looking quite sad in this other image here. Poor Mushu. I think this is when he's getting rejected by um the ancestors. It looks like he's with the ancestors here in this moment. Poor Mushu. Even has his little ears down. But okay, let's try and describe Mushu in a couple of adjectives. All right, let's see. How would we describe him? Let's see. Certainly um funny or humorous. Um, confident, maybe overly confident. Um, stern, as we can see here, but also like a little bit of an outcast. Um, how else would we describe Mushu? Um, like a parental figure almost too. Very nurturing or nurturing. And how else? Finally, let's see. One that's funny, confident, stern, and outcast, parental and nurturing, and a little bit um what's the word when you don't really think things through and you kind of run through it like impulsive maybe. Okay, moving on. All right, we have another one. All right, so when we think about Abu, Abu the monkey, Abu is Abu is adorable. We all love Abu. Who doesn't love Abu? Abu is like such a good character, right? He's just funny, cute, and silly looking as heck. Especially when he's like flaring those nostrils. He's just like so funny and cute. All right. Well, when you think about Abu, how would you describe him? Comedic optimist, comedic pessimist, or some sort of a combination therein? When I think of Abu, and let me know if you agree with me or not, I think of a combination. I think that he has the innate ability to both be optimistic, pessimistic, and in his pessimism can be the voice of reason. Like you all remember that scene where Aladdin is locked up in a dungeon and Abu is like, "Oh, if you wasn't looking at that girl, we wouldn't be in this situation, or you wouldn't be in this situation." So definitely Abu is a bit of a character in that sense. He's a bit of a this looks absolutely nothing like poor Abu. I'm gonna have to start over. I'm sorry. That wasn't working. All right, let me start from the basics. Get his head in there, his head shape, and get his little body, very little tiny monkey body. And the way he stands, pay attention to like the way he stands. He does like something different with his feet. His feet are also like arms in a sense, which monkeys' feet are like arms, but the way that they're depicted here is pretty different and unique. I'm gonna have him coming over here, and let me move this over just a little bit. And he's grabbing onto this. Let's see. I'm doing the eyes too big. Try and break these shapes down a little bit more. And sometimes you just need to do a do-over. Sometimes you just need to just like, all right, take a step back and like, all right, how does this character work? How does how do these shapes work together? I've been drawing professionally for years, and obviously I still have to think about these types of things. It's not just automatic all the time. And don't think that like even if you've been drawing for a lot of years, one day you just get it perfect. Like I was gonna say like I've seen like professional animators who've been drawing for years and years, but yet at the same time, sometimes when they're just making a doodle, it's like sometimes it's great and sometimes they like have to work at it a bit to get it. And not only that, I've seen like Da Vinci's drawings, believe it or not, behind the in the back of the Metropolitan Museum. I got to go on a trip one time and see uh Da Vinci's like sketches, and some of them are like out of proportion and like kind of like rough, really rough looking. It's like, wow, like if even Da Vinci can mess up, then I can mess up, and it's okay. Don't be afraid to mess up because sometimes you will, sometimes I will. And that's normal. That's a normal part of drawing, right? All right. So I'm gonna keep on drawing Abu. Hopefully it will look like Abu at some point. I didn't think he was this challenging to draw. That's okay though. All right. So, what was my question anyway? Um, how does the sidekick make the hero's journey easier or more difficult? Let's see. For Abu, how does he make Aladdin's journey easier? Definitely, he's a companion, right? He's a companion and he is a friend. He's like the only friend that Aladdin has for a long time. He's the only one who's around Aladdin for a long time until he finally meets the princess. And usually, if they're the only friend, sometimes they will get jealous when the other girl comes, when, girl comes into the picture because, obviously the relationship has to change. So there's that. I just feel like maybe I want to make this like try and sketch over it a little bit. I think one of the things that Did it make it easier? Was the angle I had it at? I think he's more facing up. You can see a lot of that lower jaw of teeth as well as the upper. He's obviously comedic relief right here. Like the silly face is too much. So cute. Even has like some bags under his eyes. This is how you know I'm drawing live, guys. And you can see this sort of an action. You can see I am drawing live here. Let's see. I'm going to move on in just a moment, but you can start to think about the adjectives that describe Abu. I'll move this down just a little bit. What are the adjectives that describe Abu? I think when I think about an Abu character, I think he's very much like animalistic. He's one of the few animal characters that really just act like an animal. Like, I mean, you see it sometimes with Disney films, but they really like Abu is just he feels like he's an animal more so than like just a animal sidekick. He's really just like an animal. Let's see. Um, how else would I describe him? He's charming, street smart. Let's see. He's also a thief a little bit, or cunning. Like he can outsmart you or outwit you very easily. Like a little bit of a trickster-ish. How else would you describe Abu? I think I still need to make his head bigger for his body, or smaller. Get his little vest on. How else would you describe Abu? I think he's also, um, I don't want to say selfish, but I think that goes in the animalistic side. He thinks like an animal. Like a dog is not gonna want to give you their treat. Like he doesn't want to give the kids a treat because he's an animal. He's not a human. He's not thinking about it like a human. He's thinking about it like a hungry animal. Right. So, I mean, that's not great, but it's better. It's understanding it a little bit more than I was initially. I think I could definitely practice a little bit more with drawing Abu, but good stuff. Good way to start. All right. So, moving on. We are moving on, and that's it. Oh, that was so fast, wasn't it? It just feel like it went so fast. Poor Abu got a couple of different. You got it rough today. He definitely did. But that's okay because Abu, we are just happy that you posed for us to draw today. Thank you so much. All right. So, our challenge for today is to go ahead and discover a sidekick character. Going to discover a sidekick character. And the way that you're going to do that is first you're going to pick the type of sidekick. So, picking the type of sidekick, you're going to think about if you had a sidekick character, which role would would help them grow the most, would help your protagonist character grow the most. So if your protagonist had a sidekick, which role would help them grow the most? Someone who cheers them on, someone who constantly questions them, someone who offers wisdom and guidance, someone who does all three. So when you think about someone who cheers them on, you want to think about like that positive, that cheery, that one that's just like, always gonna be rooting for them. When you think about someone who's questioning them, it's gonna be like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if you're doing the right thing. They're fearful. They're like, I don't know. And then you're gonna have the wisdom. So do you want someone who is being more of a mentor, or guide, and like maybe still be funny, but also like a Merlin, giving them that bit of, all right, well, I believe in you, but you have a lot to learn, mister. You have a lot to learn, Miss Lady. Or do you need someone who's going to be a little bit of a combination? Okay, now you're going to sketch what's possible. So you're going to sketch each of those options. You're going to do the positive character. You're going to do the comedic the comedic optimist. Do one with the do sketch some options for a comedic pessimist. The third one you're gonna sketch is some options for that mentor, that sort of a guiding light in their life. They might be comedic, but they're still a guiding light. Or you're gonna do some kind of combination. Maybe it's an animal, or maybe that's just kind of like they're on their team, but also like, you got to pay me for this after or something, they're there, but they're also like, I'm here for you, but I still have my 2 cents. So sketch all those possibilities. Get yourself a sketchbook if you don't have one already, and put in some of your ideas. And then you can go to my website, aliciadianne.com, and I have a free character reference sheet for you to download. It's a character reference sheet basics. And actually, if you go to aliciadianne.com, it will show up as a pop-up. And you can just download that pop-up and it will send it right to you, the PDF. And it's going to be a list of just very simple questions that you can answer about your protagonist or any character that you like that's going to tell you about them. So you can use this for both your protagonist character and your sidekick. So you want to definitely download that free character reference sheet. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be having that as an offer because I want to change my pop-up gift soon. So go ahead and get that and share your drawings. Share your drawings at Sankofa Animation Network on Discord, and you can see what others in our community are doing. Finally, Sketch to Story, creative writing for visual artists is still on Kickstarter. So there's only, I think it's about 3 weeks left for the Kickstarter. But if you haven't already joined, go ahead and join. And this is actually the VIP link. Like I've said before, it is never going to be offered at this price again. It's super cheap. And you're also going to be getting my graphic novels and making a graphic novel. So you're getting those extra bonuses when you sign up during the Kickstarter campaign. This is going to be a great gift for you or for someone creative in your life who wants to be able to tell their own stories. Like I said before, we are just looking at a little sneak peek. These are actually not the exercises in the class. These are just meant to be a support, be an extra opportunity for you to practice some of the skills that you will be learning in the course. But these are not the actual lessons. These are bonus gifts for you. So go ahead and get that QR code and sign up for Sketch to Story Creative Writing for Visual Artists. It's only going to be on Kickstarter for the rest of this month. So you want to make sure that you get that opportunity right away. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. But until then, be grateful, live balanced, be yourself, and take care. Bye bye.